Boy, that sure did start off quiet. I gotta fix that. I gotta put some music or something in there. That was kind of weird. Hey, everybody, how are y'all doing? Got Donald here. We can start now. We got Donald. That's all that's needed to start it up. Bitter Harvest, how are you doing tonight? It's good to see you there. We got Roland G. We got Linus. Nan's here. And looks like we're ready to get started. Got the presidential debate coming up later, and I know everybody's so excited about that. Nancy, how are you doing tonight? Um, LD Henderson's in there. So it was is so he cut grass. That's always good in Florida. You got to do that before 8 o'clock in the morning. Hey, Sally Port's here. Got Sevo Girl here. The early ones took me a little while to get up to you in the comments, so y'all been busy there. All right, I'm gonna jump into a Judge Middleton one and get busy there, and we got a Judge Fleischer and Judge Stevens, all kinds of stuff tonight. So here we go with Judge Middleton.
This is the time and date for a preliminary examination in the matter of People versus Ethel Caldwell. That's you?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Caldwell is charged with resisting and obstructing a police officer, which is a felony punishable by up to 2 years imprisonment. I was told that she was a habitual offender.
It was not included at the time of charging. There is a prior, but it was not included.
One prior?
Yes.
Okay. So if we have a preliminary examination, it would be added. That would make the maximum offense punishment 3 years and or $3,000. Let me see if I could find it. I don't see it in our system. Maybe it's from another jurisdiction. What is the?
It
Oh, wait a
was in
minute.
2003, Your Honor,
Here's
when I
a
turned myself in.
Okay, I can't find it in my system. I don't. 2003 for Ethel Caldwell. Was it under a different name?
No, sir. Oh, yes, it was. It would be Thurman.
All right, I thought maybe. Let's take a look. I don't see it there either, but all right, let's assume for the sake of argument that there is a prior felony. That would make it a 3-year maximum. The second charge is a misdemeanor offense of operating while intoxicated. This matter is set for a preliminary examination today on the felony charge. If we have a preliminary examination, the prosecutor wouldn't be introducing any proof on the drinking driving charge. The way it works, if there's sufficient proof on the felony case, the misdemeanor just goes along with it, as it's bound over to circuit court. So when we were here last week, Mr. Marvin's position was he felt this was a felony case. And his offer was plead to a felony with no habitual and the drinking driving charge. As we were waiting for you to come, I understand you got stuck in traffic. Mr. Marvin and Mr. Bush were discussing the case. And Mr. Marvin's position was still that it should be a felony. He said, in fact, there were 3 separate incidents. And if we have a preliminary examination, I'm going to ask to bind on 3 counts of felony resisting and obstructing. Mr. Bush said, isn't there some way we could resolve this as a misdemeanor and keep it in circuit court rather than make a felony out of it? He proposed to Mr. Marvin that there would be a plea to 2 misdemeanor counts of attempting to resist or obstruct a police officer and operating while intoxicated. If I understand, the evidence would be that the blood alcohol level is 0.114. That's over the legal limit of 0.08. So Mr. Bush was endeavoring to keep this matter as a district court misdemeanor rather than having the defendant bound over to circuit court on a felony charge. So, Mr. Marvin, am I correct so far?
Yes, and that's acceptable to me, what was offered. I don't know if it's been discussed, but 2 attempted RNOs and the OWI would get it done here without going upstairs.
All right, and Mr. Bush, my recounting of what took place reflect your recollection as well?
That's correct, Judge.
All right, so then we are waiting for Ethel to get here. To her credit, she did call and say, hey, I'm coming, but there's construction between here and 3 Rivers. So she was only 5 or 7 minutes late, but during that period, the lawyers talked. The next thing I knew, voices were raised and Mr. Bush and Ms. Thurman were animated, and Mr. Bush indicated that there could be a breakdown in communication. I believe, I don't know, maybe I'm reading between the lines. There was an issue about what the prior felonies were. That doesn't matter because it's too late to do anything about it. So anyway, Mr. Bush was advocating to keep this matter as a misdemeanor. Ms. Caldwell, one additional factor that I didn't put on the record, what I told your lawyer and the prosecutor, if you do plead to the misdemeanors today, I wouldn't sentence you today. I'd want to get more information. I'd want to take a look at this report, perhaps watch the video, get more information about what you're doing before I did the sentence. So here's the posture that we're in. The matter is set for a preliminary examination. Mr. Marvin is ready to proceed. The witnesses are here and we're ready to go. Your lawyer convinced him to reduce this to misdemeanors. And he just repeated he would accept the misdemeanors. So if you plead to the misdemeanors, we won't have a preliminary examination. So let me repeat what that is. You're charged with a felony count of resisting and obstructing a police officer. It's punishable by up to 2 years in prison. It used to be what's called a high court misdemeanor. Now it's a felony. As habitual, it would change the guidelines and it would increase the maximum punishment to 3 years. Operating while intoxicated is a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to 93 days in jail and a fine of up to $500. Carries 6 points on your driving record and requires that your license be suspended. The felony charge would be dismissed for a plea to 2 counts of resisting, obstructing as an attempt. That's a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year in jail and a fine of up to $1,000. That's where we are. Ms. Thurman, would you like to have and I assume if there is a preliminary examination, the plea offer would be withdrawn?
That's correct.
All right, Ms. Thurman, I'm fine either way. If you want to have a prelim, we can bring in the testimony. If you're willing to plead to misdemeanors, we can do that and I'll set it out for sentencing in a few weeks. What would your preference be?
Okay, if I plead today, what if I don't like your sentencing in a few weeks?
Well, that happens a lot. People plead guilty and then they don't like the sentence. But I don't know what the sentence is. I'm not sure what you did.
So if I plead today, am I allowed to tell you what I did?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to plead to the misdemeanors?
And what they carry again?
It's up to 1 year in jail. You're not going to get 1 year in jail, but that's the maximum allowable sentence. And the drinking driving charge is up to 93 days.
So however it go, they gonna take my license?
Yes.
Mhm.
Now, I don't think Mr. Marvin is very flexible on the drinking driving charge. Mr. Bush, frankly, I was surprised that he convinced him to reduce it to a misdemeanor, but I don't think they're gonna, I guess there's a lesser charge known as impaired driving, but I'm not sure how you feel about that, Mr. Marvin.
Yeah, that has to be,
NOUL.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't have control over that. That's up to the prosecutor. But yes, they're gonna take your driver's license for a period of time.
I believe there's also been plat consent issue already.
All right, so you may have already taken your license.
Yeah, they sent me a paper in the mail. It was dated for the 3rd, but I didn't receive it until the 8th.
Well, that's by operation of refusing to take the test.
I didn't refuse, Your Honor.
Well, you can appeal it, but the driver license appeal division of the Secretary of State took your license, not the court.
I did appeal it.
All right, well, then that may still be in the mix. But if you get convicted of drinking and driving, you're gonna have a period of time when your license is suspended if it's operating while
Do
intoxicated.
you know how long that's gonna be?
Yeah, I believe it's 60 days and then a period after that.
So will I be able to get restricted license? 'Cause I
No,
work-
with an impaired, you could get a restricted license. With operating while intoxicated, you could not.
Excuse me, Mr. Marvin. Can you please give me an impaired? I have to get back and forth to work. Like, I was homeless for almost 3 years.
You know, I'd
And-
like to do, I would like to have you plead to something that settle it down here. And if I were asking you something, that's what I would ask. I think that that'd be a good resolution and fair, and I think that everybody'd be happy.
So I
Now-
get a chance to get my license back.
Where are you working, Ms. Thurman?
I've been at American Axle since 2021.
Or second shift. Who's been-
Well, I hadn't seen you in a while. Last I knew, you were working at American Axle, so you've been there about 5 years, so good for you, 3 years anyway. So again, I don't make the charges, I just make the calls. The result was 0.114. Mr. Marvin, I don't have a position one way or the other. Impaired would allow it to get a restricted license. So, was that what you said? Or did I
No.
misunderstand? Okay.
No.
So yeah, he's holding his ground. Now, you don't live too far away.
Yeah,
Erie,
but it's dark when I get out of work. I work second shift.
yeah, okay. All right. Like I said, either way is okay with me. If it goes to circuit court, it becomes all Judge Stutzman's problem. If it stays here, it's mine. I've known you for many years. I'm frankly better at drinking, driving charges because I do a lot more of them than the circuit court does. They're mostly a province of the district court. But I'm okay either way.
I'm gonna leave it down here with you.
All right, well, let's talk about that. Ms.
Can I-
Thurman.
Just a moment.
Yes.
Can we go outside your?
Sure. Everybody, take a minute. Don't get mad. As I mentioned, I've known her when she was Miss Thurman. I don't remember.
They're stepping out. Let me go look at the, I don't have my computer, it's charging.
All right.
So I'll be right.
I was looking to see if she had a prior back in the
That's what I was
day,
gonna look for.
and I'm not finding one. She had some other stuff.
I'll be right back.
All right, thanks. All right, let's go back on the record, back in the matter of Ethel Marie Caldwell. Vivian, I want to put you in the waiting room for just a minute. Her microphone was kind of feeding back. All right, the file number in that case, once again, is file 241276 FY. We had some extensive discussions on the record about the case. Right now, there's a misdemeanor offer. Mr. Marvin indicated that the parties had discussed the matter further. Mr. Marvin, what's the status at this point?
Well, a couple of things. I did find out the history, the criminal history. 23 years ago, there was a felony abscond conviction, and there's also an R&O, and that was around that same time. So there are actually 2 prior felonies. The other thing is, in talking, I went and talked to the law enforcement officers here, and I looked at criminal history. I see that there is no prior drinking charge of any kind. And for that reason, in an effort to not interfere or give her the best chance she can to continue her job, I am okay with an impaired and 2 attempt R&Os. And the 3 of us talked about it, and I made the offer, we discussed it for a minute, and that's it.
All right. Ms. Caldwell, impaired is different than operating while intoxicated. It is punishable by up to 93 days in jail and a fine of up to 300 rather than 500. For your case, it allows you to keep a restricted driver's license, to drive back and forth to work, provided there is not some other suspension for implied consent. But impaired allows for a restricted driver's license. You understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. Are you willing to plead to those misdemeanor charges?
Yes, sir.
Other than what was said here on the record, did anyone promise you anything to get you to plead to this
No, sir.
or threaten you?
No, sir.
Do you understand that if you plead to these charges, and I know Mr. Bush told you some of this, there won't be a trial. There'll be no trial. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
If you had a trial, you'd have the right to be represented by an attorney. You could hire one, or one could be appointed. Mr. Bush has been appointed. If you had a trial, you could take the witness stand and testify and tell your side of the story, but you don't have to, because you have a right not to testify. And if you did not wish to testify, the judge or jury could not hold your silence against you. You have a right to have any of the witnesses for or against you subpoenaed to come to court, so they could be questioned under oath. And you have the right to be presumed innocent unless the state was able to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, let's start out with the easy part. Were you driving a car in 3 Rivers on July 13th,
Yes, sir.
right near the main 4, it looked like? Where were you going?
I went home. I made it home.
All right, where are you coming from?
My sister, she threw a birthday party for me because I get 1 day off a month.
All right, where's your sister live?
On Canal Street.
So you were gonna go from Canal Street to the Erie Street Apartments?
Yes, sir. I made it there.
Yeah, that was part of what the issue was. All right, had you been drinking at your birthday party?
I had a couple of shots. I smoked mostly.
All right, well, I don't know about the smoke, but your blood alcohol, Mr. Bush, was 0.114.
That's right.
What were the shots of?
Tequila. The smoke intensifies alcohol, but
Well, it may affect the results of it, so you were even more impaired than just drinking, but your blood alcohol, you're not a very big young woman. It depends on your body mass, the alcohol content of the liquor, how much you drank, how fast you drank it, how much time passed. But this is more than just a couple of shots, but 0.114 is over the legal limit of 0.08. So the police officers see you at the stoplight at the main 4. They try to stop you. Tell me what happened at that point.
he didn't stop me at no light. He threw his lights on me when I turned to, I had turned into my, I don't know how to explain it. So like right here, when you coming in off of Miller, it's like beat up right there, like bad potholes. So I got tired of boom, booming in my car. So I turned over like I normally do. Well, my tire bumped the curb. I thought it was normal because that's what happened when I dodged them holes. So I pulled in and It's a sign right there. And he threw his lights on me. So I stopped immediately, about what, 50 feet from my building. And he was talking, asking me for my license registration. I said, why you pull me over? And he said, I don't know, I forgot what he said, but he asked me if I've been drinking. I said, yeah, I had a few shots. It's my birthday. And I kept saying that throughout the night. And he told me to get out the car. And I was like, why? Like, I questioned him telling me to get out the car. I just knew I was gonna go to jail because I was drinking. So I'm like, well, can I pull up? And he said, no. And so I rolled my window up and I was talking to my passenger.
Who was in the car with you?
A buddy from, it's a family friend out of Illinois.
All right.
And so cracked the window and he was saying something. I started talking to him through the window. Then I just pulled like right up from where I am now to where you at and put my car in park. When I opened the door, he snatched me out. And from there, he started
No,
rubbing me
you
up.
say 50 feet, he says 50 yards. So anyway, you drove a little farther and pulled your car into a.
From where I
parking
am to where you are. It's how far I pulled up to park my car. And he towed it anyway.
spot. He towed it?
Yeah, he had it towed.
All right.
I gave the keys to the passenger and he told the passenger to give him the keys and he was like, no, why you want them? He said, they not yours, so you can't have them. And so he made the passenger give him my keys.
All right, well, I'll take a look at this. So at any rate, you knew you were probably gonna go to jail because you'd been drinking. They followed you all the way from the main four to the parking lot and there were some issues. So at any rate, he gets you out of the car. That's when things really start to go sideways. So what happened there?
He threw me in cuffs. He had me up against his truck because I had my phone on top of his hood telling my sister that I was gonna go to jail. And when he put me in the cuffs or whatever, like he started trying to like, you know how like a person try to make the cuffs hurt your bones and stuff? He kept doing that. And I'm like, dude, why is you trying to hurt my arms and shit? I was like, you trying to break my arms. And I forgot what he said. Then he gonna say, stop trying to bite me. I said, oh, hell no, I know the fuck you didn't do that. That's exactly what I said. Then I felt like he was doing research on me or something to know what I was locked up for in the past. Because how can I bite somebody like this? And then he had my arms up like this. And I'm like, dude, you ain't gotta have my arms up that damn high. And that's what I kept telling him. I'm sure he tall.
Well, then you didn't want to go to the police car, so they you were just sort of dead weight.
That's a lie. I got in the car. And the thing, like, I did slow down because the shoes I bought for my birthday, they was a little too big for me. So my nephew made some crease shields, but the crease shield was like this hard plastic. It make your shoe fit better, but like it cut across like the top of my toe. So I wasn't going as fast, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't not trying to get in no car, none of that. I already know the deal with officers. I'm not gonna be insubordinate or none of that, which I was slightly when I pulled my car up. But other than that, I did everything he asked me to do, and he still tried to fuck me up the whole night.
All right, well, here it says he got his arm scratched and his arm started to bleed. And then you kicked at his knee and he had some pain in his knee and scratches on his wrist.
Okay, yo, on the with that part, he kept putting my arms all the way up and I'm telling him to put them down. So with my hands like this, I was pushing down. I wasn't scratching him, I was pushing down, like trying to get him to push my arms down. And you'll see on one part of the video, I think it's when he brought me out of the station, where he had my arms way up. Like, who does that?
Your Honor, may I?
Yeah, now, is there more at the hospital or is this it?
That's it.
All right.
But I want to point something out. If we need a trial, we can do a trial. If she feels like she was wronged, I wasn't there, maybe she was wronged. Maybe a jury would listen to that. But I can tell you, my offer today was to resolve this down here, and that means that there has to be some kind of responsibility. And if there's no responsibility, then I think this needs to be upstairs.
Well, we got a scratch of his wrists, and we got when she kicked her foot.
We've got also a report of 2 times attempted biting.
Yes, she
So-
denies that, but I want to see what the video
But
shows.
I'm hearing denial of absolutely everything, and that's the problem I've got. And I don't want to ram this through. If she didn't do anything, then she shouldn't be held accountable for something she didn't do.
So
But
nobody
I
watched
also
the
can't
video?
sit here in the court today.
Just a minute.
Can I
I don't
please
get to
finish?
see the video
I
until,
got it in my pocket.
well, I don't get to see it until after you enter your plea. I don't get to see the evidence beforehand. I have to wait till I either have a hearing or a plea.
So records complete. I have watched the video. Your
All right.
Your
Yes.
Honor,
Yes.
it puts law enforcement in a bad position and in my office as well, because there's a police officer is being disparaged right now. This isn't a trial. It's either a plea or it's not. And it becomes a circus and it's not dignified.
So he's right, Ms. Caldwell. You're pleading to 2 counts to resist or obstruct a police officer. So far, everything you told me, none of it's your fault. Now, one thing you did do is you drove the car after he told you not to do it, whether you drove it 50 feet or 50 yards. And then you rolled up the window and wouldn't cooperate with him. When you're arrested for drunk driving, you don't get to say, I don't want to talk to you, officer. Go away. That isn't how it works. But according to this, there's quite a bit of scuffle. Now, the good news is we have a video, so I can watch it to see what transpired. But Mr. Marvin's right. You don't have to plead to anything if you don't want to. You can have a trial and see what the jurors think about it. I'm okay either way. I guess we'll call the driving the car, or resisting, opposing. He did get scratched and he got kicked in the knee.
Your Honor, he kicked me in the back of my right leg.
All right, let's stop. You want to have a prelim and go to circuit court, or you gotta acknowledge that you did anything to resist or obstruct the
I
police?
said I would plead to this,
All right,
but
well,
you said that I would have a chance to tell you what
You
happened.
will. When we get to sentencing, you can tell me everything you want me to know.
Okay.
But I have to find enough facts to find that you're responsible for some resisting. Is it safe to say you didn't want to get arrested that night? It was your birthday?
I did want to go to jail, but I got out of my car. I didn't want to go. I didn't. I felt like he ruined my whole birthday and he did it on purpose. And I told him, I said, if it was another officer and they see me at home, they'd have just been like, all right, I better not catch you driving tonight or something. I told him he just wanted to ruin my birthday. So yes, I was very upset. I was cussing and everything the whole night. Crying, I was mad.
All right, well, let's talk about something. It's your own damn fault.
I know, Your Honor.
You're
That's another
driving
reason I was
drunk
mad. It felt like I was done
across town.
wrong.
And you're drunk and you don't have good judgment, and none of it's your fault. They ruined your birthday. You had 1.5 times the legal limit to drive a car. Plus you were smoking a bunch of weed. You shouldn't have been driving a car on the public roadway. They followed you all the way from the main 4. So you had to go west on Michigan Avenue, turn down one of the streets, Millard. Well, you had to get to Millard. I'm not sure if you went down Constantine, I think it was. Then you're bumping off the curb and that sort of thing. So you have some culpability here. It's not all somebody else's fault.
I didn't say that I didn't do that.
All right, then I'm gonna accept your plea. And we're gonna watch the video. And then when it comes time to sentence, you can tell me whatever you want to tell me. The video is going to speak for itself. It's going to show me, hopefully, how all this went down. But he didn't go out of his way to ruin your birthday. It's just the way this all went down. Mr. Marvin's offer, as it turns out, was quite generous. And he wouldn't know if you bit an officer back 25 years ago. I remember it, but he probably wasn't even, it would have been in elementary school. All right, how about October 14th at 11 o'clock?
Just bear with me for a moment, Your Honor.
I want to get a pre-sentence and a screening.
Excuse me, I'm in November. You're saying October 14th?
October,
Excuse me, Judge.
does that work?
I hit the wrong button, excuse me, Judge. I have to get back from November to October. Let's just assume, I'm seeming to be stuck in November, I'm sorry,
All right,
Judge.
October 14th, I think that's probably clear. Ms. Caldwell, I want you to take this out to the counter. Ladies will give you an appointment to come back in. Mr. Marvin, I'd like to have access to the video and any police reports, certainly any officer input.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know if there's a medical restitution or anything. Video, police report. And Ms. Thurman, I'll be willing to hear everything you want to tell me at the time of the sentencing. And I haven't watched the video because you haven't been convicted of anything yet. Now you've entered a plea and I'll watch the video. All right, I'll see you on October 14th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did we say 11 o'clock?
Yeah.
11 o'clock. Thank you, Mr. Marvin.
She needs, this is impaired, she needs to.
Go out to the counter and get her appointment to come back in for screening. All right.
So we have to talk to her, schedule it. That might be that one.
They gonna come here?
Yeah.
They'll tell you, I don't be.
They'll tell you when to come.
Aren't they often doing them the same day now? or-
We'll try to, but with a pre-sentence, they might need to see her in advance. But she's working second shift, so we'll try to schedule it so she won't have to miss any work.
Where's the place I have to go to?
Right out here at the court office.
I'll walk you down.
For me to meet up with the lady or the man?
Well, they'll tell you.
They're
That'll
gonna tell
probably
you
be
how-
downstairs.
You're not gonna do it today?
All right, everybody.
Justin,
I think we're going to jump over to a Judge Fleischer one. This one's 26 minutes. We probably won't make it to this one tonight. But I'll throw up Judge Fleischer on it. It'll be a good one there. It says from today, and it was worth it. Anybody who saw Judge Fleischer's today, I think Kathy at Court Vibes in the morning is going to have the jury selection. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she had mentioned in the chat today that she'll have the jury selection in the morning and probably the hearing the next day. So if y'all missed it, Kathy will have that. This one here is just a funny, goofy one that was earlier. Guy just wasn't going to listen, so the judge decided to give him some words of wisdom that can only be done by Judge Fleischer the way he does. So here we go.
What's your last name, sir? Wyckoff? Mr. Wyckoff, you're charged with assault and bodily injury. You are facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You You have the right to have an attorney present during questions and interviews with the state of Texas. If you cannot afford a lawyer will be appointed to represent you, sir.
September 2nd, 2024, deputy arrived at a McDonald's parking lot at 13532 Beechnut Street in Harris County, Texas, where he made contact with the defendant and a complainant who were near their vehicles. The complainant and the defendant do not know each other. The complainant stated that when he was driving on the public roadway, he accidentally backed his vehicle into the defendant's front bumper. The complainant believed that he did not strike the defendant's vehicle at the time of the impact and drove away onto the cross street. The defendant began to follow him. The complainant parked his vehicle in the McDonald's parking lot and observed the defendant's vehicle stop behind his car. The defendant approached the driver's door of the complainant's vehicle. The complainant opened his driver door and asked the defendant, "Hey bro, are we good?" The defendant became verbally aggressive towards the complainant, yelling at him and telling him that he hit his car. The complainant remained sitting down in his driver's seat. The defendant was so close to the complainant that the complainant could not walk out of the vehicle. The defendant with his left fist struck the complainant on the right side of his face, causing pain. Defendant repeatedly told the complainant to get out of the car. The complainant remained in the vehicle while the defendant continued to yell at him, standing outside of the driver's side of the vehicle. The complainant had a purple discoloration mark with red swelling on his right cheek, consistent with that of a physical assault. The white area of the complainant's right eye was pink compared to his left eye. A vehicle inventory of the defendant's vehicle revealed a clear plastic bag containing two separate plastic bags of marijuana, total weight 83 grams, 2.9 ounces.
Mr. Wyckoff, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm going to tell you that all you really had to do was call the cops when that dude took off, and then they probably would have had that dude arrested. But now, because you took matters into your own hands, you and I are not going to have a good time. I am now sending you for a drug test. I want to know what, if anything, is in your system, and you must come right back to court. Do you understand? Do you have a Texas driver license? You run his license, please. Do you have valid liability insurance in your name?
Yes, sir.
I want proof before you leave here today to see whether I'm going to allow you to drive or not. Number one. Number two, as a condition of your bond, you are not allowed to use dope or any kind of dope whatsoever or alcohol. If I find that you're using anything, I'm going to put you in jail and I'm going to make your bond sky high. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
This license is eligible, Judge.
Thank you. I'm ordering you also as a condition of your bond not to be in possession of any weapons and not to have any contact with the complaining witness in this case. Rachel, I'd like to send him down right now for a drug test. I'm going to have you sign a reset and then I'm going to hand you off to take a drug test and then you must come right back. Do you understand? Okay.
Right this one. Judge, after this, we have another one.
Got it.
Ms. Villarreal, Your Honor.
Good morning, Ms. Villarreal. How's jail? You now know that when you go to jail, you have no one that's going to bond you out. You will be stuck like Chuck until these cases are over with, as you now see. So when you're out there in the free world, these are the things that you must consider next time you get upset, you want to assault, you want to start trespassing, you want to do something that you know that you probably shouldn't do. You're now stand charged with two cases. You stand charged with assault of a family member. You're also charged with criminal trespass. As part of the plea bargain agreement, you are pleading guilty to the, well, not pleading guilty, but you are entering into what's called a deferred adjudication, which is a type of probation that if you successfully complete, you do not end up with a conviction on your record on the assault. And as part of the plea bargain, they're going to dismiss the criminal trespass case against you. I want you to understand that even if you're doing this deferred, there is an affirmative finding of family violence. What that means is that if you ever pick up another one of these cases, regardless of whether you complete this or not, you will be charged with a third-degree felony. You will be looking at a minimum of 2 years in prison, a maximum of 10 years in prison. All you got to do is grab someone's arm and gently squeeze to where it hurts. And that's enough to where you're looking at up to 10 years in prison. You can also never own a gun or ammunition as a result of this plea bargain. Do you understand? You were giving up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers, right to be arraigned, charged right to an open court. If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization. You give up the right to appeal. For you to successfully complete this thing, you will be required to do a batterers intervention prevention program. This is a program that you must go once a week for 18 weeks in person. And if you successfully complete, then you're basically done with this case. You must do what's called a TRAS. She had done a TRAS already when she was in there. That's an evaluation to see what other conditions you may need. You must fulfill any other conditions they assess. Substance abuse treatment, no drugs, no alcohol, no threatening, harassing, or abusive contact with Rafael Guzman. Who is that?
That's our father's, that's our
The-
baby's father, Your Honor.
My ex-boyfriend.
You get along with this person or no?
I know.
So perhaps we should just do no contact then. Or I don't know. I mean, who's got custody of the child?
Me.
Let's just do no threatening or harassing, because
Yes,
I mean,
thank
that's
you.
what they had done. If you violate this agreement by testing positive, picking up a new case, not showing up, not doing your anger management class, I'm telling you now, you will be doing a substantial amount of time in jail. And I'm going to tell you now, if you like that kid, and if you want that kid to be in your life, this is the wrong way to do it. What do you think Mr. Guzman is going to do? He's going to try to take that kid away from you. And this is what he's going to use as evidence and the trespass that you are out of control. So if you like that kid, and if you want that kid, straighten up and fly right. Because if not, you're going to be sitting with me for an entire year. Do you understand? I will make you a deal. If you do well, you complete that BIP class successfully, I'll take you off when you get done with that class. Don't test positive for dope or alcohol. Be nice to everybody. It's not hard. Once you get done with that class, and if you're good, I'll take you off
Thank you so much.
as an incentive to get it done quick. All right? How do you plead to the offense, ma'am? I will not find you guilty. I will withhold it for 13 months. Get it done, and then you don't end up with a conviction on your record. All right? Good luck, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. D.
Yes, sir.
JL, you ready?
Page 15, Judge.
Thank you. Wait. There's someone that's trying to get in that says court observer. What do you think?
Do it.
We got bombed last night, yesterday.
Got what?
We got bombed on the
Oh,
live stream yesterday, so
oh,
I'm
wow,
now very wary of letting anyone in.
wow.
Mr. McCollum, you're charged with driving while intoxicated, second offense. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. How old are you?
26.
26, and you now have two DWIs. What happens on the next one?
I don't know.
You need to know what happens on the next one.
Bad news, yeah.
No, not bad news. What happens?
Tell me.
I'm going to tell you now that you now have two DWIs going on your record. If you were ever pulled over and you have the slightest smell of alcohol on your breath, any officer that pulls you over is going to say, well, if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, meaning if it's got DWI one and it's got another DWI, it's probably DWI again and is able to withhold his tolerance. They're going to arrest you. No questions asked. They're not going to give a rat's behind whether you're drunk or not. The smell alone will be enough to take them down. And now you will be looking at up to 10 years in prison. Up to 10 years in prison. That's what you're going to be facing. I hope you really appreciate the gravity, because do you know what they would do to you in prison, Mr. McCollum? A little white boy stick piece, you know what they would do to you in prison? Holy moly, I've read stuff that was so bad, it had me in freaking tears. How they just pass people along like it's a freaking rag doll. And you know what? The jailers don't give a rat's behind what happens in there. Some places are so bad, they don't even go there. And I promise you, because I'm a judge, I get to read extra stuff that you're never going to get your eyes on. And it literally had me in tears, how they treat people. So you're one step away. And I hope that you appreciate that. All you have to do is pick up a phone, hit one button. You'll have a car for $20, take you anywhere you want to go in this freaking city. Don't matter where you want to go. It's always $20. How much money have you spent on all this? Yeah, and now it's going to cost you more because you will be required to pay for the DPS fines and fees and surcharges. And if you don't, I'm going to put your butt in jail. And every $100 you owe, you will sit in custody. You're now going to be required to pay somewhere to the tune of around $6,500 to $7,000. So you can imagine how much time you will sit in jail if you don't pay it. Do you understand? Because I am trying to impress on you how dangerous this type of offense is and how very important you must take this in the future so you don't end up in prison. What are we doing, Jan?
They reduced it to a Class B misdemeanor, DWI first, interlock, 18 months probation, and TRAS, all the conditions that go with the TRAS.
$180 days in jail to be probated for 18 months. As part of the probation, you will do a repeat offender DWI education class, 2 victim impact panels, a TRAS, which is an evaluation to see what other conditions you may need. You must fulfill those conditions. If they tell you that you need to do inpatient treatment, well, that's where you're going to go. If they tell you that you have to do intensive outpatient or SOP, then you must do those as well. If you don't, then guess what happens? I will issue a warrant for your arrest, and then you will be looking at 180 days in jail. And I myself, if I find that you're consuming alcohol while you're on this probation, I will put you into treatment myself. And I'm going to tell you, it lasts for 180 days if you respond to treatment well. If not, you can be in there for a year and a half. Do you understand? I just put someone in yesterday, and they're going to be in there for a solid 6 to 9 months, maybe a year and a half. You understand? No drugs, alcohol, random urinalysis, guardian interlock, no breath test refusal, meaning that if you take a breath, if you're driving in a car and an officer asks you to submit to a breath test, you must submit to a breath test. If you don't, you're in violation of this agreement. Do you understand? You are giving up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers, right to be arraigned, charged read in open court. If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization. You give up the right to appeal. So once you accept this agreement, there's no turning back. You now at 26 have 2 DWIs on your record. Do you understand? How do you plead to this offense? I will find you guilty. I am going to suspend your license for 1 year. JL, what happened on the?
We won.
Okay. You guys can apply for an occupational license. I want to know that he's doing well. And I don't think that we've had any violations so far, correct?
No, sir. And Judge, just to be clear, so when we get the occupational license, and Dustin King will be doing that part, and he has to go get the interlock on his vehicle. He's going to have someone else to drive the
Correct.
vehicle to the facility to get the interlock, because you cannot drive without an interlock.
As of
period.
this moment, you may not drive. Your license is suspended. If I catch you in a car driving, and we're going to have you sign an affidavit promising us you're not going to drive before you leave here. If you drive, you will be doing a substantial amount of time in jail. I don't care what your excuse is. I don't care if there's a burning building and you have to save 15 kids. Mother Teresa needs a ride to church. I don't care. Do you understand? Okay. Yeah, JL, if he does well, I think, and he's been doing well so far, that's good news. So we want to know that you appreciate the gravity of this offense going forward. The idea is that You have such a miserable experience here that you remember us 15 years down the road, 20 years down the road, you have some kind of catastrophic event in your life that causes you to go out, you get blitzed. You know what? I better not get in this car and go home. That was such a miserable experience. Huh? Yeah, he's gonna have to pay. What are court costs now? Was it a breath test or was it a blood test?
He volunteered breath, it's a 0.145.
Okay, so 6,000 and then plus court costs.
Even that it was reduced.
Yes, yeah. I will give you time to pay it. Okay, I will give you, 2 years, so it's not gonna break your bank, right? Because I understand, but I want you to understand that you're not gonna get out of this scot-free. And I want you to appreciate this. You understand?
So surcharges apply even though it's not time served?
Correct. Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah. And I will grant you the occupational because he's been doing well. Okay, just mind Dustin that, because I'm gonna forget
I will.
that you guys had it and that we had this agreement, and then I'll grant it to you guys.
Yes,
Okay,
Your Honor.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, everybody. Got a couple of choices there for what's next. We got a Judge Stevens, we got a Judge Boyd, and I've got another Judge Fleischer one. So let me know what y'all come up with. I'm gonna try to catch up on some of these comments. Hey, Casey, Carey, how are you doing tonight? It looks like Jay finally made it in. So if everybody would say hi to Jay, that'd be great. She doesn't get to make it in that much anymore. She's moved on, got bigger than us, I assume. And so, but Fozzie should be throwing up some Fozzie should be showing up with some drone pictures pretty soon. So
I'm railing on.
Justin Gotro, is he the
He's in custody.
He's in the back. Gotro. Justin Dakota. Well, that's south or north Dakota?
I don't know. I think they ought to just be one state, since they
That's
have
not what they.
less
they
than the
think.
population of Beaumont, Texas, basically.
Well, then everything should be Carolina.
Carolina's got sufficient population in both states to carry North and South Dakota. I feel like they've got under 1.5 million people total.
Well, each of those people figuring as everybody is.
And their vote is certainly worth about 10 times what ours is. So.
We got a lot of land over there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 22-41165 is now called. The state of Texas versus Justin Dakota Gotro. Is that you, sir?
Yes, sir.
Present with your attorney, Mr. Gertz. The state's attorney is here, and I think your probation officer is also here. And you used to have Gata Harmon,
I believe so, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Harmon has retired, which was mandatory when he turned 30. That's what he said, but I think he was older than that, a little older than that. But you have a great probate, have you picked up the file and we're all ready? Okay. So this motion was filed on January 3rd of this year. Does the defendant waive a formal reading of this motion? Can we proceed in summary?
He will, and we can, Judge.
In summary, this motion alleges that on March 22nd, 2023, in this court, you, sir, were placed on deferred or unadjudicated probation after your plea of guilty. And you were placed on that probation for 5 years for the state jail felony of criminal mischief. Is that so?
Yes, sir.
And raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm all statements you make today during this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Is all of that, are you reaffirming, is all of that true under oath?
Yes, sir.
Allegation 1 states that you failed to report to the Jefferson County Probation Office for the months of July, August, September, and October of 2023 in violation of your probation order. Is that true or untrue?
That's true, sir.
Are you pleading true to that voluntarily and because it is true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand by a knowing and voluntary plea of true to one or more violations of your probation, that would be enough to grant the motion to revoke probation by a preponderance of the evidence or greater? Your probation can be revoked. You can now be found guilty and sentenced up to the full range of punishment, which, as you know, is no less than 180 days up to 2 years in the state jail.
Yes, Your Honor.
Knowing that, do you insist on pleading true today?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
I find you are pleading true voluntarily. You understand and appreciate the consequences of pleading true. Can I just get a clarification? Did you abscond and take off? And did you ever report back again to the probation office?
No, Your Honor, I didn't leave the county, but I didn't go back to I didn't.
The county has 250,000 people in it. It's the 22nd largest county in surface area. So it'd be hard to look under every hen house to look for you. But when were you placed in custody or arrested?
I believe that was around October of 2022.
That
No,
can't
he-
be.
I'm
No,
sorry.
no.
He means.
When
for
you
the
failed to
MTRD
report
Oh,
in March of this year.
that was March 16th, sir.
of this year.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you would have failed to report then July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can I ask what happened there? I mean, you know, ultimately the shoe is going to fall. I mean, unless you go to some place in another continent and hide
Which
out.
He's
you
not
know.
recommending that.
Yeah.
Uh,
You know, well, you knew that was ultimately going to be here and you're going to have to explain away.
I don't.
Because the most important thing, a lot of people can't follow these conditions or unable to follow some of the conditions, but reporting is obligatory for everyone, or else we really don't need a probation officer supervision. You know, you're not being supervised unless we're getting face-to-face meetings with you on a regular basis.
Yes, sir.
So what happened?
I believe I started backsliding. I didn't grasp the gravity of it. I didn't.
Okay.
I
Have you
didn't-
ever been on probation before in your life?
No, sir.
Okay.
I am not trying to make excuses.
You were on probation though. Hmm. So you were really on probation for a few months, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, so that's March, April, May, June, and by in July. That rhymed. I just. Hmm. How did they arrest you? You didn't turn yourself in, did you?
No, sir. They came.
They came
to
to get
my
you.
house. Yes, sir.
Did you ever worry about that?
Yes, sir. It was a. I had to put it to the back of my mind. I
Well,
always
it
meant-
it didn't motivate you to come turn yourself in and do the
No,
right thing.
No, sir. I just I didn't know. Well, I didn't know how to deal with it, sir. I just I always meant to make right on it, but I didn't know how to go about that, sir. If that makes sense.
Well, good intentions are lost without putting them into action.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me look at one other thing. That's important to me. Is
It's $24,000.
is that what the loss was?
Yes, sir.
Yes. There's a restitution amount in here? Is there?
Specifically, $24,693 and
$24,692.13. How much of that was paid? Not one thin guy. That's how you, when damage is done, for whatever reason, that's how you can kind of come a long way toward putting it back together,
Yes, sir.
is by paying the people back, but you didn't. lift one finger to do that?
Well, my intentions, Your Honor, was to.
Once again,
I
and
never meant to.
everybody says, I intended to do the right thing.
Yes,
I
sir.
just elected not to.
I just, I was gonna try to get established and then make large.
I know, on your terms, but you were working off the court's terms.
Yes, sir.
You were on the court's timeline and rules,
Yes, sir.
but that's what you accepted when you swore, yes, I want this deal and put me on probation, which, did you handle the, because that was a real merciful opportunity for you
Yes, sir.
for what was done to this lady's belongings. Anyway. Do we need to go on any others?
No, sir, the first
All
count.
right, are you pleading true then to this one? Number one, voluntarily, knowingly, intelligently, and because it is true.
Yes, sir.
And you appreciate and understand that a knowing and voluntary plea of true to one or more of these violations is enough to grant it. And this motion, your probation can now be revoked. You can be found guilty. You can be sentenced to no less than 180 days up to 2 years.
Yes, sir. I understand.
I've told you that already, but you've thought about it. Do you want to stand by your plea of true on this?
Yes, sir.
I find you pleading true voluntarily. You understand and appreciate the consequences of making this plea of true. Now, what do we do? That's just not rhetorical. I'm asking, what do we do?
Judge, you got two options. That's really all there is. You can either
Not really.
revoke him and convert it to a straight probation, or you can sentence him to state jail time. I basically agreed with Mr. Gertz that I will defer to the court as long as they're pleading true and I don't have to present evidence. But what I will say is that I think the answer should probably be based on whether or not he can articulate a plan for paying that money back, because it is a person, it is not a corporation. And it was a person that I believe he was in a relationship with, or an ex-girlfriend at the time. There were also some family violence related charges that stem from this as well. So to me, it is important that she gets paid back.
I think we made that clear to him when we put him on probation in the first place. Because you also signed kind of a contract that you made here, right here. I received a copy of this order, the probation order, which required you to do all of this. I agree to follow all the conditions imposed upon me, and I know that this community supervision can be revoked for any violation. I will remain in the legal custody of the District Court of Jefferson County, Texas, and hereby waive extradition if I am charged with a violation and I am arrested in another state. Well, you signed that, and then you obligated yourself by this agreement to pay the loss as part of the plea agreement. You just walked off the job pretty quickly. Now, you can tell me what you want to do, but just keep in mind, you made promises to me already that you have not kept at all. And shame on you. First time. Shame on me the second time. You've probably heard all this before, because these are wise sayings. I'm kind of using others because it's tried and true.
Judge.
I'm not sure what opportunity I'd want to give to you under this situation. I mean, it's just terrible the way you handled it off in the beginning.
Judge, we obviously acknowledge that, and that's why he is in here pleading true to this allegation, but had intended to plead true to all the allegations. However, we know and are cognizant, as Mr. Eckert said, of how important restitution is to the court. You obviously have the ability to give him 18 more months of sitting in jail and not paying anything. And I think that one of the issues is, unfortunately,
How much time does he have credit?
Yeah.
184, yeah, 6 months.
um, I think that before, when he was initially arrested on this, he spent maybe a week in jail or so and then got out on bond. And I think that by spending this last 6 months deprived of his freedom on a day-to-day basis has had a larger impact on his attitude about the importance of probation, the importance of paying this money back. He and I have talked about it, that if he were put back on probation, whether straight or deferred or whatever, that he would, he understands the gravity of that, that you can extend it longer to.
I know what you mean. I know the presentation you're gonna. I've been
You've heard me
before
say
you.
this before.
No, and you believe it.
I do,
Would you consider yourself a reasonable person?
sometimes.
No,
But yes.
I'll speak for you.
And-
Yes, you're reasonable. How much time in jail would it take you to be placed in a state jail for you to say, all you gotta do is do the right thing and you can get out? About how long would that last, do you think? Minute and a half, like me, maybe a minute, I don't know, but you close those doors and shut them and you're gone for 2 years.
Yeah.
Almost calendar time, 2 years. 700 and what?
30 days.
Mm-hmm. 700 things. 1 minute goes by slowly when that 730. How long would it take?
I agree, Judge.
You agree with me, but really, you didn't get it at all. You spent some time in jail, and you been on the lam, and not one time. They had to go get you. You didn't come in and go, I can't wrestle with my conscience anymore. It's got me. It's not the right thing. I'm doing.
I think
I
sometimes.
just don't know anything good because why throw him back in the briar patch?
I understand. And you would certainly, obviously, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but you would certainly have that opportunity to do that if he is uncompliant. I've told him that what he should expect if he were put on probation is 0 tolerance. The first time you don't report, the first time you have a dirty UA, the first time you miss a payment, the first time one of these things happens, that he can expect to be back in handcuffs and back in the jail. But and without the ability to get a bond and without really any recourse at that point. Here, though, Judge, I think that the only opportunity, the only value add would be that I think he's learned a lesson by being in there in the extended period that he has. But also, I think he sees the importance that the court has on both reporting and restitution, which I don't know who his court-appointed lawyer was, and it's not terribly important, but oftentimes that's not adequately shaken into people's heads, especially people that are out on bond, and they don't necessarily understand how seriously this court takes some of these items over
But
others.
nice presentation, but we shouldn't have to stick all our probationers, all 5,000 of them at any given time in jail to go, see, we're going to put you in here for a few days, a few weeks so that you can understand and appreciate freedom. We don't need to do that, but that's the argument being given. You, for some reason, need to be treated differently than the general population. You don't get it when you've been in the jail before and you still take off, and now here we are. So I'm not sure why doing that again. It's just like not walking in a revolving door. I think I can send a better message of just putting them in, and we'll stick that restitution as part of the judgment and let them wait out 2 years, a year and a half, and see how life is in another year and a half. About 2026. That seems to be the right thing.
Judge, we're asking the court not to do that.
May I say something?
Sir?
May I say something?
Yeah, if you would. This is a good time.
Yes, sir. The only point I wish to make is that there's a natural introspection that comes with being behind bars. And one of the things that I've tried to
Why didn't that work itself through your mind the first time you were in jail? You were in jail a while here before we put you on probation, right?
Just like a week.
Were you arrested? Yeah. How long have you been in jail? I don't even have to ask you that. Right. Yeah. Right. Tell them what it's like to be in jail for a long period of time. He's got it. He's got the Russian and the Ukraine experience because he was a freedom fighter. He was a freedom fighter. But I mean, he's just his neck out. It's just, I'm not gonna, we've seen enough. Anything you want to say?
No, sir, Judge, I think.
I know what everybody's. All right. If nothing further, I'm going to find that there is sufficient evidence supporting this motion to revoke unadjudicated probation to grant it by a preponderance of the evidence or greater, as allegation 1 has been proven true by a preponderance of the evidence or greater. Thus, the motion to revoke unadjudicated probation is hereby revoked. Earlier in this case, you pleaded guilty voluntarily, knowingly, intelligently. There was sufficient evidence supporting your guilty plea from State's Exhibit 1 admitted at that hearing to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Although we deferred and place you on a finding of guilt and place you on probation, that probation is hereby revoked. I hereby find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of this state jail felony of criminal mischief. And I am sentencing you to confinement in the state jail for 2 years. Do you understand what has happened to this in this case?
Yeah, yes, sir.
And restitution is hereby ordered in the amount of how much? What it is in the
$24,693.13.
and restitution is added to that judgment in the amount of $24,693.13. Do you understand what has happened today, sir?
I'm being sentenced to time in the state jail.
Yes, sir. 2 years. You will be given credit for the 184 days that you have served. Do you understand?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Anything else to add by anybody?
I would.
Go
I would
ahead.
just like to say, sir, that it's been said that there's a notion of difference between what's moral and what's merely legal. And before, I'd never got in trouble before, but I lived an immoral life.
You've never been arrested for a crime before this?
No, sir. I was truancy whenever I was 16 years old.
Okay. What was that? Just truancy?
Just truancy, Your Honor. And there's these classes that they have at JCCF that are called Life Beyond Prison, Probation, and Parole. And one of the things that they really hammer in is that failing to plan is planning to fail. The first time that
That's true.
Yes, sir. And I didn't have a plan whenever I first accepted probation. But this time I've reached out with.
What is this plan of yours?
There's the Associated Builders and Contractor School that if you show that you've done time in JCCF, they offer free classes to give you.
Where is that located?
It's on Needle and Avenue, sir. And they have these classes that
Where are you? Where would you live?
I have
Because I'm looking at this, you were transient for a long time until you went to Groves.
Yes, sir. And as of right now, I was evicted of the place that I was living with my girlfriend. But I have family friends that one of them has a rent house. The other one has a place that I could stay with them, and I would have a solid foundation.
Okay. But you were in a relationship with a lady who I'm looking at this and seems to be a very nice person.
Yes, sir.
And you didn't handle that relationship at all well. And y'all weren't married, I guess, but nonetheless, I'm sure you pledged some kind of a loyalty toward each other.
Yes, sir. But I believe that my best bet now is to work on myself, and if the court would allow me the opportunity to do right, I do have a plan in place, and it's not like I'm not swearing to something and going out to the wind and not knowing what I'm going to do, sir. I've thought about long and hard of this. I promise you. Hand to God, sir.
Okay. What other fees would there be if I placed him on regular probation? There would be normal and regular fees because he had court costs and reimbursement fees that weren't paid back in that first place.
Yes, Judge.
What I'm going to do is I just want to hear something from you that makes some kind of sense. And I'm going to suspend that sentence, place you on regular probation for 5 years.
Thank you.
But you can see you've run out of knots on the rope.
Yes,
You're
sir.
on the last knot. pull yourself back up into the boat.
Yes, sir. I just wanted the opportunity to do right, sir. I promise you. I promise you, sir.
You promised. You want me to read your promise when we put you on probation the first time that you failed miserably on? Don't make promises. Do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right.
Yes, Your
We'll
Honor.
see.
Thank you, Judge.
And I want the probation office to make sure that you keep me updated on, we got a transcript of what he says. I'm gonna hold you to it. I want to see some kind of work, occupational plan put into practice. You say you have a plan. I want to see that happen. And we're gonna keep checking on it. And if it fails, then we'll be back here again, and you can see it won't take all this time that we took for you. It would be pretty snip, snip. Now that restitution was ordered to, and it goes to
The complainant in that case, I believe her last name was Pate.
and I put in the record what the amount was. And by the way, I don't know what your relationship is with that lady, but until I order otherwise, don't have any contact with her, because I don't think she wants it with you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I don't want to find out that there's any failure to follow that rule. Because I'm gonna protect her. She's had enough misery from you. This clemency option, sound good. Thank you. See the probation officer. Thank you. All right, Ryan.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, buddy. David, we're back. Is it right? Yeah, right. Yeah, let's go. And then I think David's got a hearing or two.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's go. It's Amber Simon. Come on.
We're gonna start doing competency, returning consideration of competency at the jail. What do you think of that?
Look, what do you think is the right thing to do?
Be quicker than that, let them do it.
Yes, I'd like to try that. I mean, do you know what, I just, judge's conference, do you know how long it takes to get somebody from the jail to
CPC.
Vernon's
Well, not
hospital
Burn Rate CPC.
after we make, for treatment?
60 days.
607 days. Oh, when I heard that, I stood up, I go, wait a second. Nobody ever said that to us. Life is just passing by on these
It
people.
takes them that long to get school and that long to get transferred.
Transferred.
She can do it here. but-
Yes, I know. I know.
Hey. Yeah.
I just wanted the update on why Shane was taken into custody, the DWI guy.
Shane.
Sorry. He was just taken into custody this morning. He was supposed to show up,
What's the last name?
Irish, sorry, Irish. Shane was his first name.
Oh, yeah, it's 650 days. He's taken off multiple times.
Oh, no, but they gave him pre-trial bond last week.
Yeah, I'm not down with just
Oh, you just.
PR bond after PR bond after PR bond.
Oh, okay. I was.
No. I did.
Oh,
My fault.
okay. So I'm approaching about a bail. You've already considered it and it's.
Oh, I haven't even said it. Look at it now.
He just got taken. I can't really tell.
Oh, it's at 5,003.
Is it?
So that's what he's gonna have to do.
Would you consider lowering it? He was in custody in Galveston for 9 months.
For what?
They were trying to do a probation revocation on a some sort of cop case. I forgot what it was.
Case?
Imprisonment or what was it? Sorry.
Let me look it up.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, please.
You told
Irish
me and I
last
can't like register. I was like, it just flew into my head. So he was in Galveston. He said
So
that they transferred him here.
Look, I'd like to know, why is he in there? Did he pick these cases up before, after? What has he done since? How bad has he been?
Your Honor, if I may, on October 3rd, 2023, he was charged with sex assault of a child. That was dismissed on August 27th of this year. So that's why he
And
was in custody.
so, okay, well, he didn't tell me, he said some sort of cop case. So then they transferred him from Galveston to here. On September 3rd, they gave him a PR bond from the jail. He got released. He showed up today and he's like, well, I'm going into custody. So, I mean, like, technically, yes, he picked up a case in Galveston.
And Your Honor, he did also have a, now that we're talking about it, let me see, 12/9.
Oh, no, we're looking, Pavel.
I mean, I want to know everything. Do a deep dive, because I want to know.
Okay, should we approach after?
No,
Oh.
just.
So, let me just. Yeah, so he does have a probation case, obstruction or retaliation in Galveston.
Was it the same date as the sex case? I mean, did they dismiss the sex case in lieu of this one?
It was August 31st, 2023, so it predated the sex assault. The reason for dismissal of the sex.
All this predates all that. This case predates all that. So
I'm saying why he's in custody.
Yeah.
So,
so
Well,
this predates all that.
that's true, but he was not just not showing up.
He was just picking up felonies,
No,
left and
I thought
right.
he's been in custody.
It's like he's getting pizzas.
and
but
December
felonies.
20th, 2022, which was about a week after this DWI, he picked up a DWI open
Oh, hell no.
in Galveston where he absconded and he pled,
Now it's going up.
he pled, he
What are
pled
you
no
doing? I'm just
contest.
kidding. Let's just, okay.
He pled no contest.
I don't have access to this stuff, Judge.
It's okay.
I don't have
I should-
access to this
To be
information.
fair, I should have discussed this with you before.
I should have run. Okay, Judge, we'll just leave it as is and, thank you. I'll waive the bail hearings. Do you need a copy?
We love you, Shrey.
The court finds it fully insufficient.
So what happened with the other DWI? Go visit him within the next, like, maybe 2 months, 2.5 months to go see how he's doing. If you want, I'll call you. You can come with us if you have any interest. Derek, do you want to talk about something while we're waiting or?
So we
No.
get dismissals.
Got it.
Over here.
On 9/2 of 22. Morning, Mr. Eli.
Morning.
Speak English?
Yes.
How's jail?
Not so bad. It's pretty good.
Looks pretty rough.
Yeah.
Looks like you're having a rough time, huh? Mr. Eli, on 9/2 of 22, you pick up a false report. You blow us off. Not once, not twice, but I've got your bond at 5,003 on that one. While you're out on the lam, you've now picked up a DWI second. You also pick up a failure to stop and give information. On both of those cases, you're facing, well, on the DWI, you're facing up to a year in jail and a $4,000 fine. On your FSGI, which is basically leaving the scene of an accident, you're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present if you cannot afford one. One will be appointed to you, sir.
On May 2nd, 2024, officers were dispatched to a convenience store in regard to a shooting in progress. Upon arrival, they searched for the vehicle, which had already left the store. Complainant Tamika reported that she was at the store when the defendant came in, and he was acting erratically, stumbling, seemed to be under the influence of something, and kept saying, "Why are you guys always fucking with me?" unprovoked. He went outside, got a gun out of his car, and fired once in the air. She described him as, yes, Your Honor. She described him as acting weird, like he was on something, and she saw a gun fall out of his waistband, saw him pick it up and saw him leave the store, get in his car and leave, and back into her car, then drive off. He came to a stop at 1900 Commonwealth, got out of his car and came into another occupied car and went to the same location and got out and started yelling. The total damages to the vehicle were $500. Defendant was taken to Bentall because he was hyperventilating and he had a high heart rate. No firearms, narcotics, or alcohol were in the vehicle. Medical results returned. Defendant was positive for opioids, cocaine, and benzodiazepine. At the time, he was admitted to the hospital.
Eli, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm extremely surprised that they didn't charge you with the gun case, aggravated assault, who knows what else. I am now revoking your bond on the false report, the first case, and I'm going to raise it up to 30,003 because you scare me. You are a complete and utter danger to the public and have no business. Do you understand? If you get out of jail, I am ordering you under home confinement and doing AA and NA classes 5 times a week with a GPS monitor on one ankle and a scram bracelet on the other. And you are to remain home all day, every day. And the only time you can go out is either to a hospital or to meet with your lawyer. Do you understand?
I had no gun on.
I'm also ordering you as a condition of your bond not to drive. You will be signing an affidavit with me today promising me you're not going to drive. I don't care what your excuse is. If you drive, I will have a contempt hearing. You'll be facing an additional 6 months in jail and a $500 fine every time you get into a car and drive. Tell me, how long have you been in jail, Mr. Eli?
2 days.
Are you still coming down?
Yes.
How is it?
Pretty terrible.
Sucks, right? Yeah. Especially when you're on opiates. It's probably one of the worst come downs you can have. You're lucky you're not seizing. I'm going to tell you now, Shreya, that I'd like to do a TRAS on Mr. Eli. And I'm not going to entertain any offers until we do it. And I need to know if he needs treatment into a facility based on his priors. I mean, this has been going on for the last 5 years now, where he's been using hardcore substances. And I'm really afraid that you're going to kill someone. You're on something. You allegedly have a gun. You're shooting it into the air. What goes up must come down. What if it comes down on a 5-year-old's head, Mr. Eli? Who gets charged with murder? Who's looking at life in prison? Do you think of these things? It's high time you did, because that's kind of behavior where you didn't mean to do it. I didn't know that what I was doing. I was a little bit. And then someone's looking, and even though you don't get life, you still might get 40. Typically, when I see these cases, it's 30 years gone. Do you understand, Mr. Eli? I will have you come up here, swear to us that you're not going to drive, and then we'll have you placed back into the jail, and we're going to have you evaluated, and then we'll go from there. Do you understand, sir? Good luck to you. Come on. Eli. Waive the signature. Yeah.
She must be
Yeah.
outside.
For cocaine. Mr. Wyckoff, come up, take a seat in the jury box.
Do you need me to appoint?
Please.
Yeah, I know.
Just be careful. Huh?
That's why he's on the bench with his cuffs still on. And I can't, like I was explaining.
Is
to
Shreya out
Rachel,
there?
I can't,
Where's
yeah,
she?
she's back there trying to talk to him at a distance though. I told him I cannot remove the cuffs to be able to have him sign anything out here.
Man, I mean, I could tell he was still way.
You got it? Okay, come on.
I mean, was this day 2 or 3 that he's been in there? How long's he been in? I mean, I could tell he was still just.
So she's saying said to say 8th, that's probably the 8th. So 2 days.
Hey. Hi. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Really? You look good.
Thank you.
We want to make sure that you continue to look good and that things just go well for you.
Yes, sir.
Did you see what they say what's going to happen now?
I'm gonna go to DDRP for 6 months.
Okay.
They're gonna help me out with everything.
In the interim, can we get him his ID and all that stuff as well? Do you know?
They'll have to help him when he gets to the facility.
Well, but I mean, when he gets there, is that still possible? Do we still have contact with the other lady that was helping out? Will she be able to still help out? Well,
I'll reach out to her.
I really hope you take it to heart. The last thing we want is you never being able to shed that monkey off your back and you have this lifelong problem that you're in and out of jail. Because I'm going to tell you now that you and I have now been dancing for at least 2 years. In the blink of an eye, 10 years is going to pass. And what we are trying to prevent is you looking like one of those little people on the side of the road, begging for money. They look like they're 70 when they're actually 30 years old. Because I'm telling you, before you know it, 10 years, 15 years is going to pass. And if you continue to live the hard life that you're living, you only get bigger, you get fatter, you get uglier. Life does not get easier. It gets more difficult the older you get. The more convictions you get, all you're doing is you're shooting yourself in the foot and killing yourself. Now is the time to make the change. I have the resources. I am giving it to you, and I'm going to come and check up on you, Mr. Bonilla. I have already made a plan with Shatoria. We're going to come visit. That's what we don't want out of you. That is a lifelong monkey on your back. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
You have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Enough preaching. Are we doing a deferred? What are we doing? Okay. Well, I mean, really,
I just have to.
we waive everybody's fees. It don't matter who it is. Mr. Bonilla, you know, the nice thing about this is if you complete it, you don't end up with a conviction on your record. You're charged with theft. A theft is one of the worst crimes because it really affects you badly. You have to make this work. And I will extend you for as long as it can to make sure it works. You're giving up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront, cross-examine your accusers. If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization under federal law. You give up the right to appeal. Once you accept this agreement, you can never change this or undo this. At some point, you're going to be let out. I want you to understand, if you get out and you continue the same way, I will issue a warrant. I'm going to put you back in there. You know what's going to happen? Guess what's going to happen?
Sure.
Back to DDRP. We're going to do it until it takes. So get it done now. Make sure it works. Because if not, we're going to do it again. You understand? One way or the other. All right. It's a 13-month deferred with the TRAS, which we've already done, right? So we already have the conditions, okay? I'm going to waive all the fees. You don't have to do any, you don't have to pay for anything. All you got to do is get there, make the program work, and then we're going to let you out. Before you let out, we are going to find you housing so that you have a place to go to, and so that at the very minimum, you have your ID so that we can get you a job, because that's the important, you have to get a job so you occupy your time. Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
How do you plead to the offense of theft? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
I will not find you guilty. I will withhold that for 13 months. I want to wish you the best of luck. I will see you in 2.5 months, and then we'll see how you're doing. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. It looks like my whole face is on the screen that time. I don't know what the hell happened earlier. I'll go back and find that screen if there's like a 30-second delay. So if I did it when I saw Fozzie's comment, I'd never find it. There's still such a bad delay with YouTube. Thank you everybody for hanging out. Feels like a long night. Fozzie, you got a new toy to go play with. You enjoy that drone. We expect to see some videos soon from it. So, all right, everybody, y'all enjoy the night, and we'll see y'all tomorrow night, 8 o'clock.